Do you think that these very managers who come in from the greatest of the institutes, who have such high rankings, they get to do what they want to do in the private sector?
That too disappointed me in a big way. So first of all, I left bureaucracy thinking that there is greater freedom in the private sector. All that proved to be just a lure.
Yeah.
A fantasy. In fact, in some sense, in the private sector, you are more constrained than in the public sector. In the public sector, at least there is security of engagement, of job. You can be transferred, but you cannot be thrown out. I discovered that in the private sector, if you do not conform to the whims of your bosses or your organization, you can be sacked immediately. So it was double disappointment. And then I said, fine, nothing doing, not the government and not the corporate sector. Let me figure out what to do on my own.
Right. I heard that you were writing poetry sitting at one of the offices, the corporate offices.
They had no work to give me. What else could I do?
But was it excruciatingly painful for a person like this?
It was very painful. I have been through long years of deep angst. It's far more relieving to fight and even die in an impossible battle than not to be able to fight the battle at all. In fact, it was at that time that I developed a special feeling for the character of Karna. He was not allowed to fight the battle of Kurukshetra as long as Bhishma Pitama was the commander of the Kaurav side. He said, you will sit there on the sidelines. And he was all the time just cooling his heels and wriggling his... I can't fight. I'm not being allowed to fight. 3.5 long years. I was just counting my days and just asking myself, when would the real battle start? So I had a few debts to clear, and that was the only thing that was preventing me from calling it a day there. And the moment I was absolved of that burden, I just merrily hopped out and did what I could. And today here we are.
What is the difference between Acharya ji and an entrepreneur starting his own venture?
Not much. I'm doing my thing. That fellow does his own thing. I'm very much an entrepreneur. So I don't see that there is a difference in that sense. But then the difference between two entrepreneurial concerns corresponds to the difference between the entrepreneurs themselves. You see, we are two. There are two centers within us. There is the center of truth. There is a center that you could call as the human center. And then there is the animal center. Anything and everything that you could do can come from either of these centers. A word that you utter can come from this one or this one. For example, you say, I love you. That could mean two things. And two very, very different things. Coming from this center or that center. You could say, I'm coming to you. That again could mean two very different things coming from this center to that center. I want to help you. Radically different things. This center and that center. Similarly, I'm establishing a firm of my own. Can mean two very different things coming from here or there. So while, no doubt, an entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship, but the difference lies in the center the whole effort is coming from.
Right.
You could come from uh, a center where only your personal profit matters, and then probably you are just looking to find the first buyer and make an exit, or go for an IPO and sell off your holding. Or you could operate from love and say, come what may. This is not an organization. This is not a company or a firm. This is my life. This is my life. I love it. This is my life work. This is what I live for. I'm never going to sell it. In fact, I'm going to probably sacrifice myself at its altar. So technically, both of these would be just, either companies or whatever, organizations of some kind. But they would be operating from two very, very different centers.
Right. Do you think we are always trying to, safeguard our image? I remember this very thing that Shah Rukh Khan once said. He said that I work for the brand SRK, right? And that's something that has stuck with me because he's honest about the fact that he's working for that brand that he's built.
Right.
And I have seen so many people and I've spoken to them and interacted with them. They don't accept it, right? What do you think about it?
You see, when your own idea of yourself comes from others, then you have no option but to be very careful about the image others have of you. I have something to sell, and you won't buy it unless my actions, my words, or whatever corresponds to the image that you have of me. I'm heavily dependent on you then. So I have to safeguard my image. That's how most people operate. They are there to take something from others.
Right.
And if I am to take something from you, you are not going to give it to me for free. You will demand something.
Yeah.
And I have to present myself as the fulfiller of that demand. That's called the image. I need to have that image. I am the one who can give you what you want. I'll have to safeguard that image, right? Because I want something from you. There is no option but to safeguard your image. Except one great exception, which is when you do not exist to want something from others. Instead, your job is to give something to others. And when you are out in the field to give and not to take, then it is not your image that you really care for. Right? In fact, you see, when you are in the field to give, then your image is going to probably be one of the first casualties. Because giving is not about supplying to the other what he is desirous of.
Right.
Giving is about giving to the other what he really needs and does not even know that he needs. So when you give it to him, he does not feel grateful, he does not feel, or he does not accept the given thing with very open arms. Instead, he resists. The more you want to give it to him, the lower is the opinion he'll have of you.
Right.
Are you getting it? You see, in the marketplace, you fulfill a pre-existing need.
Right.
But in the field of real and deep life education, you have to tell the person that he has a need he is not even aware of. And when you tell that, it is not sweet to hear. It's like telling someone that he has a chronic disease, which he is not even aware of. So when you tell that to him, the fellow resists. He resists and he looks at you as an enemy.
Correct.
So if you really are in the field of education and if you really want to help someone, then you have to become indifferent to your public image. Because your public image is definitely going to take a beating. People are going to curse you. And the more people curse you, the more you should understand that your work is at least being effective, if not succeeding outrightly.
Right.
It's hitting some place, it's pinching people at some place. So, if you are in the field of education, you cannot afford to be image conscious. If you are image conscious, you will find yourself handicapped in terms of doing your real work. In fact, you have to be prepared to take abuses and be misunderstood and be subject to all kinds of slander and misinformation campaigns and all those things. You have to know in advance that that's going to come your way.